Maya's been rocking it out back there. She got called. Did you call yesterday? Is that what happened? Yeah, I got called yesterday. Hey, Maya, I know that you're just learning how to play drums. Do you think you can come and play today? Our drummer decided he didn't want to show up. I'm going to throw Steve under the bus. He can take it. So Maya, you're doing awesome. Good job back there. Yeah. You may have noticed also in our reading that I translated our reading that was read, but the one that you might have seen on the screen was translated in the Standard New Revised Version. I don't recommend that you play with versions of the Bible and translate them. I happen to have a master's in divinity. I speak and read Greek, ancient Greek, and for whatever reason, and I can tell you why, there is a word that didn't get translated, and every time that we read it and it's not translated, it doesn't make sense. So I went ahead and I translated it, and I hope maybe you picked up on every time Cindy said millions, it said talents. And that's because the Greek word talenton is a measurement of money. So let me give you some math. Just stick with me for a second. It's easy math. You work a day, you get a drachma or a denarius, right? You work one day, you get a drachma. 1 day of work, 1 drachma. It's easy math, okay? So a talent is a measure of how many drachmas somebody has. It's an increased amount. So a talent is something along the lines of 60,000 drachma. So that's 60,000 days of work, or a talent is equal to 164 years worth of wages. So a talent is equal to 2 lifetimes worth of wages. So when you hear talent, you shouldn't think, oh, the ability to play drums or guitar. You should hear an overwhelming amount of money. Enough money in 1 talent to serve 2 lifetimes. That's what you need to get in your head. So really, although when we read it, it said the guy was given 1 million and 2 million or 3 million, 5 million, you should hear more along the lines of 50 million. The guy who was given 5 talents was given $50 million, and then it was expected that he was given this money and he would turn that into $50 more million. Now, let's just do a thought experiment. If I gave you $50 million and I left for a time, and it says a long time, and long times are different. My wife was trying to update her iPhone yesterday, and she asked me how long it was going to take, and I said a long time, like 20 minutes. So we don't, long time is variable. It has different meaning for long, but it certainly can mean anywhere from 1 to 5 years. I'll give you 5 years. I give you $50 million. Can you turn it into $50 more million in 5 years? That would be difficult in today's time. But you have to think about back then. Back in that time, there were no banks. There were no venture capitalists. There was no corporation system. There were no stock markets. There was no Vegas. So how are you turning $50 million into another $50 million in such a short period of time? Well, the answer is so obvious if you are reading it and you understand that they're talking about money. Jesus is talking about money. These men, the first and the second slave, are taking advantage of people. The understanding in the day was if you were a widow, you didn't have legal rights. And so if I had $50 million and people didn't have legal rights, it would be easy enough for me to go in, grease enough palms that I could take, steal, or buy her property. And then once I bought that property, I don't know, I could do the biblical version of flipping that property, put a vineyard on it. I don't know, but the idea is very clear. It was obvious, and it should be obvious to you. If somebody gave you this amount of money and you're going to turn it into $50 more million, good things aren't happening, evil things are happening. And for the first slave and for the second slave, good things happened. They entered into the favor of this harsh master. Let's pay attention. This is not God, this master. This master thinks that you're good if you earn money for him. This master, it says, reaps where he didn't sow, gathers where he didn't scatter. This is farming language. Sowing things in the ground and gathering what you scatter. This is hard work. So this master takes from people who have done hard work. He doesn't work hard, he just takes. This is not God. The first and the second slave entered into the good graces of a being that wasn't God, and the third slave was cast out into what is said, weeping and gnashing of teeth. Now this language has a parallel. This is exact language that Jesus uses. Jesus says in Matthew 13:42, he says, "And I will send my angels, and they will go into the world, and they will collect all of the evil in the world, and they will cast them out in the furnace of fire where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." So we have two masters, one who was a thief, one who is the Lord Almighty, and they have two hells. One is a hell on earth, and one is an actual hell. And don't confuse the two. Hell on earth may seem like hell, but it is not. And if you don't serve the masters of the world, the harsh masters of this world, Jesus' message is very clear. You may find yourself in a position where you are cast out into the hell in this world, where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth. And we know this to be true. We actually could find it on our news today, but we are so sick of hearing about it that our news centers don't even talk about it anymore. But if you looked it up, if you found, go ahead and Google Yemen. There's a big old drought and starvation going on right now. Do you even know that? I had to look that one up. I'm not some superhero that pays attention to all the world. I get lost in my own little world, which is what Jesus is talking about. We get lost in our own little world. And specifically, Jesus wants to talk about money. Now, interestingly, as soon as I said the word money, everybody in this room just got less generous. That's a reality. That's a scientific fact. There's all these great studies in psychology that can show us these things. In fact, there's this great one about monopoly. There's this guy, his name is Paul Piff. He's a psychologist. He did this thing where he did all kinds of sociological and psychological experiments. One of the best ones, one of my favorite ones, is this monopoly experiment. He took a game of Monopoly, had people play Monopoly. You know Monopoly, right? Well, he gave certain people advantages. On the side, he would pull them aside and he would say, okay, now you're going to play a Monopoly game, but here is $2,000 extra in the game, which is double the money you start with. Or every time they pass go, they got more money. Or they got more dice to use or not use. He gave different people different advantages each time they played. And each time they played, the one who got the advantage would start doing things. They would start banging their piece around the board. They would man spread. They would take up a lot of room as they were playing the game. They would start giving advice to people about how to play the game better. And in the end, when they won, and they were asked, well, why did you win? They all said, every one of them said, to the last one, they all said, I'm just better at the game. Never mind that they were given twice as much money or advantages that others didn't have. They thought they were better at a game because they wanted to believe that they were better at the game. They didn't want to believe that they had advantages that others didn't have and that had something to do with the outcome. What Paul Piff found out after doing experiments, and he did more than just the Monopoly experiment, is that the more wealth you have, the higher in social standings you believe you are, which leads to an increase in your sense of entitlement. So the more money you have, the more important you think you are, and the less important you think other people are. This is what he found out. There are lots of people in the world who think that they're special because they have a lot of money and a lot of power. And they might go and they might try to, kiss somebody who doesn't want to be kissed or grab them in the casting couch. This is Harvey Weinstein. If you don't know this guy, and everybody apparently has a problem with him because he has done a lot of evil things to a lot of people. He's in the news. He's not alone. Turns out there's other. This is Roy Moore. This is a U.S. senator from Alabama. Oh yeah, he's done all kinds of things, or he's had things accused of him. And why do these people have things accused of them? Because they have an inflated sense of entitlement, and that comes from their position, because they have power or money. And you have to understand that money equals power and power equals money. The two can be synonymous. And they prioritize themselves over other people. And when they look at the world, they say, I am due this, I am owed this, you can give this to me, and if you don't, I'll take it. The psychological experiments that Paul Piff realized about how money equals entitlement, Jesus has been saying this to us for thousands of years, y'all. Turns out that God knew the people he made, and he tried to inform us and tell us about our natural inclinations. This is what he says in Matthew 19:23. Truly, Jesus says, I tell you, it will be hard for a rich person to enter the kingdom of heaven. It will be easier for a camel to enter the eye of a needle than for someone who is rich to enter the kingdom of heaven. Well, why should that be? Well, because if you serve money, then you will have money, and you will think of yourself more highly than other people, and you won't serve other people. You'll serve money, and you'll get money, and then you'll think of yourself more highly, and you won't serve other people. And soon enough, you're serving a different God. You're serving yourself. Turns out money is the number 2 topic Jesus talked about. The number 1's pretty obvious, righteousness and salvation. The number 2 topic Jesus talked about. But you know what we talk about when we talk about the church? We talk about homosexuality. We talk about fake news. We talk about all kinds of things that are going on in our world, about how we got to drive our kids here and there and all these other things, this day-to-day stuff. We get so caught up in the 24-hour news cycle and our day-to-day that we don't pay attention that there are people with real power in the world, and they are harsh masters. Now here's the harsh reality. They control us, and you don't want to hear this, we are also them. We are the harsh master. When Christ was speaking, he wasn't speaking hypothetically. He was telling us of a reality. And we have to realize that we are also the harsh masters. Just because we have people above us doesn't mean that there aren't people below us. I'll give you a really quick example. Thanksgiving is coming. What a wonderful holiday. At 6 p.m., Walmart's going to open their doors. Do not go to Walmart, y'all. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because why? Because that is exactly the situation Jesus is talking about. What is Thanksgiving? It is a day to give thanks. Give thanks to who? God. Give thanks to God on the day that our nation separated and say, hey, look, this is a day for you to give thanks. Give thanks to him. Spend time with your family. Enjoy the day. Eat too much. Take a nap and watch the Redskins get beat. It's going to be a great day. Don't go to Walmart. Why? Why? Because what happens if you go to Walmart? You are the harsh master. You are enforcing and reinforcing all of those people who have to work at Walmart to be at Walmart. Walmart wouldn't open if nobody didn't show up. Everybody stayed at home. They would close. I guarantee you they would. But we go, and so they're open. Don't fall into that trap. Just give that little bit, can't you? Can you all just decide right now you're not going to go shopping on Thanksgiving? Go the next day. Go to town. Heck, you know what? Go at 3 in the morning, set up your tent, and if you're going, give me a call. I've always wanted to do that. I mean, that's what Black Friday's all about, isn't it? Go, have a cow, go crazy. It'll be great. Scream at the top of your lungs all day long and drink lots of coffee. Okay, but don't do it on Thanksgiving. Stay away from that. It doesn't take millions and billions of dollars to change how your mind works. It just takes thinking about money, as it turns out. In fact, the Monopoly example shows us it doesn't even have to be real money. It can be made-up money, false and fake money. Entering into the joy of a master of money is not the place you want to be. Don't trade your inheritance at your baptism for something good in the here and the now. What good, says the Bible, would it get you if you traded eternity for here and now? It may be that you're going to have to give some things up in order to bear fruit, which is what I'm talking about. To bear fruit means to show God that you love Him. Not to get yourself into heaven. You already have it. Every time you ask for it, it's yours. You don't earn your way into heaven. You have it. Now, how do you know that you have it? Every time you bear fruit. Every time you don't go shopping on Thanksgiving and you say, no, today is going to be a holy day. Today I'm going to give to God. Every time you take an opportunity that is given to you to confess Jesus as Lord, there is your fruit. Every time you come to worship, you thank God. You say, God, thank you for this life. You are awesome. You are first in my life. You know what? Monday I tried to be good. Tuesday I was a little worse. By Wednesday I forgot you were even in my life. On Friday you were like not even second. You were fourth or fifth on my schedule, Lord. But on Sunday I'm going to put you back to first where you belong. And I'm going to praise you. I'm going to sing songs to you. It's called worship. That's why it happens every week. That's why we're welcoming here at Crossroad. That's why you should go out of your way when you see a face you don't know to say, hey, what's up? I don't know you. Welcome. You should be here. Because the hard thing about being here is actually getting here. It's a difficult thing to show up every week because sometimes we forget why. We put God second and third and fourth in our life. It means serving. It means not only putting God first, it means putting others ahead of you as well. That means you're third on the chain. We have a worship team who set things up. They do the coffee out there. They do the Eucharist over there. Cindy was reading earlier today. Hey, if you're not on a worship team, I encourage you, get on a worship team. Serve God. Next month is December. Pam Tolan is the leader of all of the... hey, there she is. Pam, there you are, right? Pam, I'm sure, I don't even know, we haven't had this conversation, but I'm sure is stressing because Christmas is a big time. You can't have too much help, right? Right. Look, these are opportunities. I'm not telling you do them because this is how you get into heaven. I'm saying these are the opportunities that come. These opportunities are opportunities to show God how much you love them. You don't have to do them. You should. There's the chance that you can say to God, you're awesome. We just had one yesterday. Just yesterday, we had the hunger fight. We had a whole bunch of people show up and work an assembly line. Yeah, look, we had 3 tables plus full of people making food for other people. We made thousands. Look, this is our pallets. These are pallets, and then a little bit more. Work a little bit more. Here's some more food. These are hundreds and thousands of packets of food that we made. Crossroad, we made 16,000 meals yesterday. It got biblical up and in the high school. And that's nothing. That is nothing. Look at all the meals. It's an amazing thing. This is Florence. Florence wouldn't let me get a picture of her, so I said, I'm going to get my revenge, and I thought I'd put it in the sermon today. She has nothing to do with the sermon. I'm just having fun with Florence. She's a friend. Christ's parable today is a warning to us about who we are. He made us. The mechanic is telling us how we function. And he says, look, there's real power in the world, and it can, will, and does influence you. It will pull you away. It's not a question of when. It is happening. You will be pulled away. It's not about evil money. Money is not evil. In fact, the 16,000 meals that we made yesterday, that happened because of money. That happened because we had a couple people who gave very generously, and the rest of y'all just an overflowing flood of love through money. Money's not evil. It's the service of money. It's the love of money is what Proverbs say. And what we try to do here at Crossroad is create opportunities to show God our love. That offering plate is an opportunity to show God's love. Worship is an opportunity to show God's love. Service is an opportunity to show God you love Him and you love His people. That's all we're doing here. Is we're trying to get biblical. We're trying to welcome people so they can see, you know what, church isn't boring. Church can be loving. And church is full of sinners who look at other people and welcome them despite their sin. This is the place that we get clean, through baptism.